Okay everyone, so I'm going to demonstrate this mannequinization technique. I'd like you to spend about 20 minutes on it. Now I'm going to put her about here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to roughly sort of plan this by kind of looking at the overall shapes, right? So if I had a cranium here and then I look for the sort of position of her knee, it's about here. Okay, and then there's a kind of a shape maybe like that. So I'm just doing what we call a bounding box, right? I'm just looking roughly at the outside shape there, just like we did with the Weizhou method. It's a similar version of that, but it's very loose. Okay, and that just helps me get a little bit clearer. And then I'm going to just start to build this now. Okay, so cranium, we can see this plane of her head, you know, this side of her face, so we can have a little ellipse here. And that helps us to sort of find her chin somewhere here maybe. And she's sort of looking a little bit up, I reckon, in my opinion. So probably kind of like that. Okay, which means that her jaw is about here. And you can also see a little muscle there, right? These muscles, if you've got a fairly thin neck, just have a look in the mirror next time you're in the bathroom. Move your neck around. You've got a muscle that starts sort of just behind the ear, okay, and it comes down towards your sternum, okay, towards your chest bone. So in this case, it's kind of wrapping around on her. Okay, now that's sort of a three-dimensional, or it's a cranium sphere and a three-dimensional jaw structure, okay? Now we want to maybe find the shoulder and the neck. So we've got, you know, a gesture line first, you could say. The neck, and we can't see it, but it's nice to draw it in. Maybe like that. And then we've kind of got a gesture line for her shoulder, okay? And we'll probably take it from about here. And let's consider this like the robo-bean, like the top plane of a box. Okay, so we're looking at the angle. And you can look at the drawing as well as the photo here, right, to help you. All right, now perspective, right, the line at the back is a bit closer together because that's further away, right? Something like that. And then try to visualize where her shoulder is, sort of about there. The left shoulder and the right shoulder. Now let's look at her face. Right, if you follow a line down in the photo or the drawing, you know, her shoulders finishes about here, doesn't it? Something like that. So it might be like that. All right, and then we could begin the center line. Right, the center line, sort of for her back, you can see it in the photograph, is about here. You know, it's sort of. I want to do it as an S curve. It's sort of like that. Okay. Now let's pop in a little boxy sort of cylindrical shape for her ribs. So we'll do it a little bit eggy. Okay, sort of about there. The other thing we could do is build a gesture line in first. So we've got a kind of a direction line here for that part of her shoulder. But then we've got this kind of, what would you call it? It's almost a C curve there. And then we've got, there's a kind of a nice flow with the rib cage, which You know, the rib cage comes in under here, right? Maybe about like that. This is where, who was it? I think it was Shushu who was visualizing the ribs in her drawing. That's a really good idea. You want to visualize where the rib cage goes, right? It's a bit like an egg. Okay, it sort of comes a little bit above the shoulder line. And on a woman, it's normally thinner at the top and a bit wider at the bottom. Okay, and then you can normally see the ribs. I think it's the 10th rib, not sure. Anyway, you can just sort of make it out in this drawing, in the photo I should say. It's about here. Okay, so what are we doing? We're sort of, and let's check the proportion now. If I do a little, kind of follow the bean through a bit, and you know, there might be another boxy plane here. Bit of a gesture line to help me. So just looking for that sort of, it's almost a box, could be a cylinder, could be a box. So I'm sort of building it really lightly and then just looking, right? And now I've got this gesture line to look at. I'm making her more slanted back than in the photo, but I think that's okay. I don't mind that. This is going to be a bit more, you know, there's a kind of a flow for her breasts about there, right? A rhythm line, you could say. So it's a combination of gesture lines and rhythm lines, same thing really. And then we're going to build the form on top. So I'll just keep going with a few more of these rhythm lines. The center line for her bottom's about there. The side plane, right, we can see the side of her bottom box, maybe about there. And it gets a little bit wider at the bottom. Maybe that. Okay, and then we're going to add to it, right? But that's roughly it. And then we've sort of got a gesture line out here. I think it's kind of like that. Kind of like that. All right, now I'm looking for proportion, right? And seeing, is this too far? Is it, you know, like it's different to my original bounding shape. See this shape here? I had that line a bit further out, but I've just adjusted it. I feel like it's too low. I feel like it should go out more like this. So I might just try to change that. Yeah, I think the foreshortening, I've gone too far here, right? Foreshortening is difficult, isn't it? Might even do it about there. Let's try that. I probably won't be happy till I draw the rest, so let's just have a look at where that might go. Again, these are mainly gesture lines, guys, and the video doesn't, I probably should play that video a bit further forward, but let me do that. I'll just scan this forward a bit more. Leave it there, just to give us a bit more info according to his sketch, right? Okay, so I don't remember if he built the gesture lines. He must have done them first. Yeah, he's done them first. Okay, so he's done, you know, something like this. Something like that for the gesture. Okay, and that's sort of coming out towards my original boundary line. It's a little bit, mine's a little bit different. But it's okay, right? You don't have to make your drawings exactly the same as the photos. The photos are sort of a starting point, I reckon. All right, so that's roughly that form. Pretty happy with that. Now let's bring her arm in here. So we've got a sort of a gesture line down, which actually points towards her bottom. Okay, so we could, okay, and then somewhere crossing over her sort of waist is the elbow. It's about there. So this is a landmark. Okay, and then we've got another landmark for the wrist about here. So then we can build a little gesture line in, which is sort of about that maybe. And then we've got a little boxy shape here, which we'll come back to. And a gesture line for the hand might be that. And now if you look at the hand, it's sort of maybe about there. And the other one, it's not as visible, is it? Starting at the shoulder, kicking back and then around. And then, okay, another landmark, the elbow. It's about here. Something like that. All right, so I've got now, I think, enough gesture to build on. So I'm going to go back in now and sort of add forms. Okay, mannequinize. Okay, so we're looking for three-dimensional forms. How can we make these kind of gesture lines? How can we add form? Looking for landmarks. Trying to get that flow. And using sort of our knowledge, our growing knowledge of three-dimensional forms and cross-contour lines. Now for the bottom here, we can now sort of build maybe more of a kind of, you know, we can bring in the contours because the form is pretty good. The gesture is pretty good. Now, cylinder, okay, we want to construct a tapering cylinder here. That's kind of what the top part of the leg is tapering cylinder. And then we can't see much of the other one, but there's a bit under there. The foot, simplify it down. Think about it as kind of just a few shapes. So maybe something like that. Mine's a bit long. Yep, that all feels pretty good. Maybe I've made her head a little bit large, but I don't think it's too large necessarily. Okay, landmarks. We've got the ASIS on the back. Landmarks would be a little bit hidden, right, by her elbow, but I want to put it about, yeah, no, so my arm's in a different position in my drawing to the photo. So I've kind of made a mistake there, but I'm just going to leave it because I quite like my version of it. But that's roughly, you know, the little ASIS there, or pieces. Okay, it's not bad. I feel like I need a bit more of a, I've just changed the grip on my pencil here. So I want to just get a little bit more precision here with this kind of S-curve. Not bad. Now the breast here, it's a little bit spherical and a little bit wedgy. Okay, so we could look for a sort of a, you know, a sort of almost a circular shape plus a kind of a triangular shape, right, to give a sense of that form. And then you can wrap that, because you've got to remember the the rib cage is three-dimensional, so we could probably wrap it that way to give a sense of the breast moving away from us, which is what Proco's done. Anyway, that's a bit stiff. Okay, what about this? Let's build the little arm here. So we've got this little box, okay? We can see the elbow, you know, if you look at the drawing, the photograph, we can see this top side and this side here of a little box, and we can see this side, so that's good. That's our little box. And then we can, this is a tapering cylinder, this is a constant direction an equal sided cylinder, but it's heading away from us. It's heading down, so it should get a little bit smaller at the bottom. Okay, so I reckon I want to go sort of like that to kind of help myself find that. All right, and then up here, the shoulder. Okay, probably we could pop a curve in there. Now this, remember there's this kind of rhythm. Can you see that? You can see it in the photo, not so much in the drawing. Anyway, what about this leg? Let's go out here more. I might adjust this line a bit now. So I'm looking for a landmark, which is, you can see the joints here. They're the landmark. So out the back there's a little box. We can't see it. We've got the joints to look at. So there's about maybe there. And we've got this kind of tapering cylinder, right? Heading down in that direction. Then we've got another cylinder here, and it's tapering also. Because of foreshortening, it's going to make it harder, but anyway. I feel like there's a little boxy shape about here. I feel like the foot starts about there, even higher. I think this is too low. I'm going to lift all of that up now. So I'm ignoring my line. It was starting to confuse me. It wasn't really in the right position. Okay, so this is tricky here. I want to get the flow. Okay, the flow is good now. Gesture's good. Now I'm going to build the form. And I want to position the sort of ankle first, because that's another landmark, isn't it? So the ankle's about here. And I might just kind of build a little shape like that, but that's a bit short, I think. See, because the foot's closer to the camera in the photo, it's much larger than you might want to draw it. So I'll try that again. That's a bit better, isn't it? Good, not bad. Okay, so let's draw this constant cylinder here. Pops out to a little wedgy shape for the ankle. And then this is a tapering cylinder, but then we've also got the muscles on top. Okay, so maybe something like that. All right, you just want to build it slowly. I might move the video along. See what else he does. Yeah, that's a good view. All right, cool. I might just bring my camera in there a bit. Right, so what I'll do now, just for the last few minutes here, I'm just going to come in with a different pencil, and I'm going to just build it with a little bit more clarity, maybe. I think this is going to work over the top. All right, so it might make the drawing a bit heavy, but we'll see. It's the only risk when I start holding my pencil like this, is it it's sometimes I lose the flow. I've got to keep it moving smoothly as much as I can. I do feel like I've made her head a little bit large. That's okay. All right, so what else would we do? Well, look, I mean, for the sake of this drawing, I'm not going to give too much detail, so I'm going to probably leave quite a few of these forms as they are, and just sort of try to build a bit more of the sense of forms with a bit of the muscularity. Okay, this is her little these little boxy shapes, okay, something like that. Okay, you know, if your drawing turns out different to the photo, it's fine. You can just, you know, no one's going to see the photo at this point, are they? So we're just really looking at your drawings, and if they're communicating well, then you're good to go, I reckon. If it looks like a person sitting in a certain way, then you've achieved something. You've built something original. All right, I think I probably shouldn't spend too much longer on this. So let me just speed through this bit. Now we can look at the slightly different shapes here. And how they kind of roll together. Not bad. I think picking up this pencil, this charcoal pencil's kind of slowed me down a bit. But anyway, this is roughly it, guys. So we're just sort of, you know, it's if you think about it, or if you notice, you might notice it's a kind of a combination. Got the gesture underneath, you know, a little bit of your bean action. Feet are hard, I'm not very good at doing them simply. Anyway, something like that. So let's stop there with that one. And you can see that it's starting to work, I think. Pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to give maybe about this size. I'm just going to try to get flowing this time. I'm going to start with a kind of a, you know, an eggy shape. Sometimes if I start too slow, I just, I don't know, I never quite get it going. So I'm sort of doing a bit of a bean, right? A sort of a normal bean first, and just noticing the center lines, right? Center line here. It's almost in the front down here, and it kind of goes over in this direction a little bit, so maybe through there. Okay, and the box is about there. Okay, we've sort of got a belly about here, belly button I should say. Yeah, okay, good. So that'll probably do me, that's a bit too close in though, isn't it? Yeah, I might need to widen that out. Something like that. Okay, good. So now I'm going to build a little boxy shape up here. Maybe like that. Sorry guys, try that again. Just trying to get that flow. That's pretty good. So the boxy shape is a little bit eggy. We're looking up at it, so we can sort of see up in under here, can't we? And we can see this side, so there's a bit of a side plane to it. So I'd probably look at maybe, you know, if there was a box, it'd be sort of like that, right? Her shoulder, the angle's quite extreme, isn't it? Maybe like that. All right, and now we're sort of looking down on her bottom, the bottom part of her robo beans. If I was doing a robo bean, so I'm going to just build a boxy shape first. So I might do it about there. You can just see the side of this boxy shape, right? Maybe there. And then, just as he's done in his drawing, that'll give me a bit more of a that angle there. It's about right. Alright, so the center line's not bad. The depth is a little bit big, so probably maybe about here. Okay. So, you know, her cylinder for her leg's going to go on about here. Alright, so the gesture line would probably be about there. Okay, maybe sort of box about here. And then that's sort of continuing down, maybe, something like that. Come back to that. Get a little bit more of a gesture line here. And then, okay, so we've sort of got this kicking out there, isn't it? So, and then there's quite a large cylinder. What I want for it is to be heading in this direction though. We're going to head this one back in that direction. And that knee is stopping higher than this one, right? If you look at that angle, it's about there. So I reckon it's going to be something like that. With her little box sort of in here somewhere. That might work. I'm trying to work from the photo more than the drawing. I'm doing both really. I know he's building fat planes or fat pads. So fat pads is, you know, an awareness of how the fat sits in sort of forms, you know, underneath the skin. Now he knows much more about that than I do, but you can see the rib cage first. Okay, so let's start with that. Okay, so the upside, the sort of the elliptical form, the eggy form, you could say, maybe about like that. And then up in here, we can build her sort of her rib cage, doing something like that. Okay, and this is the ribs, not yet the fat. And then her hips are going to be, I feel like this is too large now, but we'll see how we go. All right, I'll build her tummy pad about there, and then her belly button's about there. So yeah, my belly button was lower in the earlier sketch, but yeah, so I think I'm going to have to adjust the bottom part of my drawing. It's all a bit long. Let me just see what happens if I just move that. No, I'll take it all out. It's in the wrong position. Okay. All right, so let's just try to make this work. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, something like that. All right, so then let's now build this back in. Now what we've got here, the top part of the leg, you've got the one main cylinder, and then there's this other set of fat and muscle. I'm not sure exactly where the muscle goes, but I think it starts on this side of the knee and runs all the way around there and up to here. And that's what forms that. I believe it's to about here, something like that. And that's why you get this this sort of section of muscle on most legs, depending on how muscular the person is, but you can normally see a sort of difference in that part of the leg there. Okay, and then we're going to go back to the landmarks. Okay, so the landmark's sort of about here. It's a sort of a boxy form, isn't it? Okay, and then I've brought my joints, which is another landmark. It's probably about there. And then this, popping in and around there. Alright, so again we've got this sort of cylinder tapering down, right? Maybe something like that. And then we could have a little that'll do. Okay, what else? Okay, now this is heading back, right? So we're looking down on these cylinders. Make sense? Again, the knee's a bit lower on this one. I'm so sorry, it's higher. It's about here. Something like that. This is where my knowledge of the anatomy is not good. I don't really know how the knees and legs are constructed. I might just move the video forward. I don't really have a good flow today. Not sure why. I didn't get a very good night's sleep. It could be that. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good. What do we do there? It looks wrong, but I need to come back to it. This is starting to get somewhere, so let's what else will we do? Shoulder box. Yeah, so there's a boxy plane here for the shoulders. It's tilted up a bit, even though the other shoulder is down on that angle, but this, she's raising her arm, and that's kind of helping us find that, I think. And then I've got a gesture through here, maybe higher. Shane, ribs. Oh yeah, it's higher. It's more like that. Okay, so maybe about there. I think this is too close to her body. Feels about right. Not bad. All right, so now we're looking up at her ribs. Right, so you could almost think of the eggy shape rib cage as being cylindrical but moving back. And I could probably make mine get a little bit thinner at the top than I have. Yeah. I feel like my proportions are a little bit off here, but I'll just keep going. Okay, tapering down a little bit. We're going to be seeing, looking up at that, her elbow is just here on the crossing over point. And then we're looking down here. So the gesture line. And little boxy shape. Okay, and then her other arm coming out sort of around through here. It's going a little bit further out than the other one. All right, so we can't actually see almost anything up here. So I'm going to have to bring this shoulder into about there. You just see a little bit of it sticking out. So then her center line's about here. So her neck would join as a cylinder, something like that. So we kind of maybe get that going up, but then we're looking up at it, so there'll be it. Okay, so her cranium is going to be sort of up here, I suppose. Is this going to work? Not sure. Oh well. Maybe there. Something like that. All right, so again, we've got a muscle coming from here around. So it's like the in behind the ear there, and she's going around there and then down there, so we might see a little bit of the nose. Something like that. All right, not bad. I'm up against the edge of my paper there. Okay, so I'll just keep going now, and I'll just try to build a little bit more form. Perhaps bring in the breast shapes here. So you can think of them as spherical, but also, you know, they fall and sit in different ways. So again, drawing through a little bit. Position the fat pad about there, and then this crossing over, and another one sort of out the back there. I might make this one a bit, that's not bad actually. It shouldn't be lower than the other one, so I'll keep it about there. This one should be a little bit lower maybe. So again, cross contour lines, right, to show us looking up, but then the breast is hanging down. And that's what's giving that sort of flow there. All right, so muscles here. Now, this one comes over there and sort of wraps around there. And you don't have to change it into a contour, but you can leave it as just a simpler cylinder or box. I'm just trying to feel my way into that. I think it's about there. This is probably... Okay, not bad. I think I made her neck a bit long, but that's okay. Hey, there we go. Anyway, so, you know, roughly, just sometimes it's funny, confidence, you know, with drawing, it can really affect us, I think. Certainly affects me. Anyway, maybe something like that. Then you can maybe bring in some of these more stronger lines when you've got everything, you know, roughly where you want it. So don't worry if you know, not everything's in the right position. It's really hard to get everything in the right position, and you know, we're just starting here, so just do your best. I'm just going to put in a few little shapes just to give myself a little bit of form here. I do love this coloured pencil, as in the colour itself, and it really shades well. You can break it down really quickly. It's a Conte or Carbothello, similar to a Conte pencil. It's basically a nice coloured pencil, high quality coloured pencil. Let's look down, right? So that take us over there. And then quite thin. Like that. Anyway, that's pretty good. All right, I might stop there. So that's number 2. Yeah, good fun. Okay. There we go. Stop.